Hi, I'm Rob from We Keep You Cycling, and today the extreme stress testing of the Sci-Con Evolution TSA travel case. It's a hard-shelled case constructed out of a 5mm thick ABS shell. It's quite durable, but doesn't have much give. For this year, it's got the new TSA locks, and of course, it's got the 4 wheels on the bottom for easy rolling. The case is designed for everything to be put in place and to be held there so things don't touch. Because of this, we had to change the layup or the placement of the eggs slightly by using a frame with eggs strapped to it to measure impact on the frame, and the use of wheels with eggs strapped in strategic places to determine if there was any touching. In today's testing, we're going to drag it behind a truck on a rocky dirt road, drive over it with a heavy Ford F-250 truck, and then burn test it to see how fire resistant it actually is. In our first test, the drag test, I'm predicting that the lack of foam is going to cause some damage to the contents inside because there won't be enough buffer between the outside of the case and the contents inside. Let's take a look. So the moment of truth, 2.5 miles, towed on the same road that the Trico was on. Visually, on the outside here, I see we've lost a buckle. And if I see the underside, we've got massive gashes where the frame outline is. But otherwise, it looks just incredibly dirty, similar to the Trico. Let's see what happened inside. Dun dun dun. So we had a little bit of movement of items. We still have the tacoed wheel that we used in the earlier test. And I've got some broken eggs, scrambled. Nothing appears damaged on the frame. Frame moved around a little bit. Let's see what happened inside. Looks like the impacts bumping over rocks jarred and broke a few eggs from the bag. Got a few on the wheel here. Let's just see if our true wheel is still true. So while removing our true wheel that went in true, I'm surprised to see that it is still as true when we put it in as it is now. So though some eggs broke, I don't think we saw any damage or additional damage to the wheels we put in. And while removing the wheels, I noticed one of the 4 roller wheels at the bottom ended up breaking off somehow and popping inside the case. So I think while we had some egg damage here, I don't actually see any damage to our components. So my predictions came true. While there were no visible signs of damage to the wheels or frame itself, the eggs were worse for wear, and I believe because of a lack of padding between the hard-shelled case and the eggs inside. While there is a little bit of foam, it could be thicker for the case to perform better in this test. In our next test, we're going to drive over it with a Ford F-250 truck. This is my favorite test, and I'm hoping for catastrophic failure here. The plastic is a little brittle, so I'm hoping that this time, when we drive over it with a tire, that it literally fails and splits where that tire applies a lot of pressure. Let's take a look and see how it did. Whoa! 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 So I heard that crunch, and I was pretty excited to see the damage we've got. First off, I noticed that the top here is cracked. One of the wheels has come through, come undone. A little more damage on the back end. And of course, first line of defense here failed, cracked right off. Let's open this one up and see the carnage inside. So we have cracked eggs and a tacoed wheel. It looks like the wheel took a fair bit of abuse there. No surprise, of course. Oddly enough, the second wheel shows no damage at all. We'll see if it's true in a moment. Ha! The frame, strangely enough, looks intact. That is something else. Let's see what's happening in the bag. No cracked eggs in the bag. So we would have your saddle and pedals, of course, would be intact. Let's check this frame again. Oh, no, we do have some damaged eggs here. But the rest is good. And I see no visual signs of cracking on our test frame. It did get moved around a little bit, but it's strangely enough intact, and when I look at the rear derailleur hanger, it's unbent. So let's take a look at that wheel that remained intact. So the front wheel, which showed no damage, is strangely as true as the day it was made. That is just unbelievable. So while the case failed quite dramatically with cracks and pieces missing, and we've got a little bit of egg damage on the frame itself appears to be intact, with the front wheel okay and the rear wheel being the one that took the damage. I'm quite impressed. So my predictions weren't really true. Sort of disappointed with this one. I was hoping that it would be catastrophic failure, and while the case did fail, we had a rear wheel bent and it pulled away from the plastic, pulling the skewer right through. We did have hard shell top case failure, not where the tire rode over the case itself, but where the energy was dispersed and failed at what would probably be weaknesses created in the molding process. We didn't have a front wheel damage, which was sort of interesting considering the fact that it was actually closer to the top. It was true as an Aero, and the frame appeared no worse for wear. So let's take a look to see how the fire test does. My prediction here is it's going to take around 35 seconds, and I'm sort of hoping, because this is a different plastic, that our fire crew on the side has to jump in to put it out. Let's take a look and see how it did. Here we go with the blowtorch test. Start the timer. And we're through. Woo! So it did catch on fire. Not in an amazing, wow, burst into flames, get the fire extinguishers and fire crew out here, but I did have to blow it out. It took 43 seconds to burn through the 5mm shell, and it did catch on fire. So its properties are slightly different than some of the other hard-shelled cases we have, but it wasn't an impressive fire. I was pretty impressed with how this set of testing went. A little disappointed that the drag test didn't perform better. I think a simple increase in the amount of foam inside the case would improve that. I was, however, impressed with the protection of the wheels despite their proximity to the hard case. Now, take into consideration that there's nothing between the wheels and that hard 5mm thick ABS shell. They're literally just held in place. So I couldn't tell you how both wheels weren't damaged when we drove over it, and the fire test performed better than I anticipated with a less than impressive fire. I was hoping for more. I'm Rob with We Keep Recycling, and this is one of 3 Will It Break extreme stress testing of the Sci-Con Evolution travel case. If you have any questions about this case or any of the travel cases we carry, drop us a line or email us info@wekeepyoucycling.com.